There are still over about $8 billion in overall cannabis sales in this country. That includes the illicit market.
2 years after Canada legalized cannabis, and the push has meant cash for both companies and workers.
8,000 and 9,000 people across Canada employed in the sector. And that, to put that into context, that's more people than are currently employed by General Motors in Canada.
But despite the end of pot prohibition, many consumers are steering clear of this budding legal industry.
A regular user, the person who consumes on a daily basis, most of those people are still, according to StatsCan, accessing the illicit market.
So why are 40% of users keeping off the legal grass? The illicit market doesn't have to charge taxes, nor does it have to adhere to other regulations.
That some restrictions are necessary to prevent marketing to kids, for example. But I think there is some room for a little bit of loosening, just to allow some of these brands to be able to establish themselves in the marketplace.
The consumer experience may also be a strain. Consider, Alberta has more than 500 legal stores, Ontario 170, Quebec 45. Legal delivery options are limited in some jurisdictions, while browsing options have also undergone some growing pains.
Many of the, particularly the provincial platforms, while they're improving, they're still not quite at that Amazon consumer experience level.
The market is still growing. Part of that can be attributed to the introduction of edibles and pandemic buying. But it still won't hit a CIBC 2020 projection of $3.5 billion. That revised forecast is now $2.5 billion. Lowered projections and slower growth could leave some players in a flooded market high and dry.
Even back to the automobile industry, when it first started, there was hundreds of players, and eventually there was consolidation, and there was 4 big players at the end in the U.S.
Some provinces are set to review their cannabis industry policies shortly, which could give businesses more leash. But in the end, it may be up to Ottawa to ensure that the industry has more pot luck.
I think it's time for the federal government to take the lead on establishing, that sector plan.
In Edmonton, Courtney Theriault, City News.